everybody. Welcome to this Toastmaster meeting, a Tigertales Toastmaster Club meeting. Please join me in welcoming our Toastmaster of the day, Alex.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome to our 422 meeting of our Tigertales Toastmasters. It was 6 years ago now that our club chartered back in May of 2014. So we're coming up on 6 years here as a club, which is exciting. So we are getting started with our theme of the day, which is friendship. We're going to talk about friendship, and we are going to be friendship, which is even more important. So I'm excited to lead us through our meeting today. We'll have 3 sections. We'll have our prepared speeches, then we'll have an opportunity for our speakers to be evaluated, but not until we have had our table topic session where everyone will have a chance to jump into our impromptu speaking. So before we get started, I'll introduce you to our functionaries. Our counter for today will describe what she's doing, and her name is Sarah Francis.
I will indeed. So thank you for your waves. I just used a filler word. That is a prime example of what I'm looking for today. So, you know, like all those fillers that add nothing to your speech and take away from your credibility. I will count them and I will tell you about them later.
Thank you, Sarah. Our next functionary for tonight is our grammarian. Our grammarian is Tanai. Tanai, can you tell us what you'll be looking for?
Hello everyone. I'm the grammarian for today, and as a grammarian, my task is to look at the grammar aspects of the speakers and whoever is coming to speak in front of us. And today we have the word of the day, which is amicable, which means characterized by friendliness and absence of discord. So I can use it in a sentence like 2 nations settled their quarrel in an amicable way. So if you are a table topic speaker, you can use the word of the day to qualify for the best table topic speaker. And I'll also look for the speakers if they can use this word of the day in their prepared speeches. And that's what I'll be doing today.
Thank you, Tanai. Our final functionary for today is our timer, and our timer for today is Ajita. Can you explain what you'll be doing today?
Hi everyone, I'll be the timer for today's meeting, and I will be monitoring the time for the prepared speeches and the table topics. I will be showing, okay, I think I have to disable the background. Yeah, so I will be showing the time on the screen here. For prepared speeches, you have 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I'll show the green timer. At 6, I'll show the yellow, and at 7 minutes, I'll show the red card, where you have 30 seconds to wrap up your speech.
Thank you, Ajita. All right, so now it's time for us to move into our prepared speeches portion of the meeting. And to tell us about what each of our speakers will be speaking about, or the projects that they're working from, we have evaluators. And evaluating our first speaker is Grant. Grant, can you explain what Cyril will be working on today?
Yes, I can. Cyril will be giving his 5th speech. Well, no, his 4th speech. He's given 3 speeches so far at the Speechcraft-a-thon last year. And he's asked me to look out for a few things, including the quality of research that he's done, because he is giving the researcher topic speech. I'll be looking out for the relevance of the topic to today's times, and how the content was delivered, his confidence, and any body language that he can convey while he's holding his phone or doing whatever he's doing since he's not on his laptop. Best of luck to you, Cyril.
Yeah.
Thank you, Grant. So now I have the opportunity to introduce Cyril. I got to be a part of the Speechcraft last year when Cyril was first a baby Toastmaster, and we're so glad to have him here at Tigertales. And he's giving his first speech here with the club, but he had a chance to give those 3 speeches at the Speechcraft, and he did a great job. And I can't wait to hear what he has to say today. When I asked him about friendship, Cyril said that a true friend is someone who would never make up a quote about friendship just for a Toastmasters meeting. Please help me welcome Cyril with his speech for today.
Lesson. It can be defined in so many ways, such as learning a skill, which is a period of time that somebody uses to learn a particular skill, such as driving a car or learning a musical instrument. It can also be related to school, which is a period of time where students are taught a particular subject. But a lesson can also be an experience, which is something that provides information that we can learn and use. In fact, we learn a lesson to gain a useful experience. Ladies and gentlemen, dear Toastmasters, throughout the course of history, pandemics have ravaged humanity, sometimes changing the course of history, and at times signaling the end of entire civilizations. From the plague of Justinian in 543 AD to polio, AIDS, and Black Death, pandemics have reshaped entire civilizations since human first settled into town thousands of years ago. As we are going through this COVID-19 pandemic, it is really important that we take a moment amidst this time of despair, uncertainty, and fear to think and learn some key lessons. A couple of weeks ago, so people from Jalandhar, which is a city in the state of Punjab in India, could, for the first time in decades, see the Himalayan mountains from hundreds of miles away. In fact, after industries have shut down, cars went off the road, and planes canceled, there has been a tremendous improvement in air quality. When I first heard this news from CNN, some images came into my mind. I started thinking of this 15-year-old boy who, for the first time, woke up this morning and could see this world wonder from hundreds of miles away. Something that he has only been able to see in books and on TVs. I also started thinking of this 60-year-old woman who was sick from the effects of pollution that we have all been contributing to create. I also thought of her husband who spent almost all his entire saving trying to save her life. Ladies and gentlemen, India is home to 21 of the 30 most polluted areas on Earth. Why is this important for this community? Well, unlike you and I, the people from Jalandhar have 20% higher risk from dying from pollution. You might be tempted to think, I don't live in Jalandhar, this is not my problem. But the thing is, our children, who represent 10% of the world population, have 40% higher risk of dying from diseases related to pollution. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Earth Day, and I thought that it is the right moment to talk about this issue and invite each of us to be responsible and take actions that will contribute to save this planet, not only for you or for me or the people of Jalandhar, but also for our children. If the world pollution level is going down, what about the pollution in our personal lives? We have been attached to a rhythm of life so fast that we often lack the time to sit and learn some key lessons. Before COVID-19, my life was polluted by so many things, and I often lacked the time to spend a moment with myself and the people I love. My very first days of quarantine were a real struggle. I was not used to staying at home all day, not knowing what to do with my life. My level of stress increased because for the first time in years, I lost control of all my plans. But after a few days, I started learning to being with myself, enjoying the quietness of my room and the beautiful songs of the birds at my window. I started using my spare time to do some interesting activities such as reading, playing guitar, or connecting with my friends and family. For instance, last week, I had a really interesting Zoom call with my friends from high school. For some of them, we have been amicable for years, but we have not been talking. It was really interesting to come back together and remember all those wonderful moments that we used to spend at a period of our lives where we were living stress and worry-free. COVID-19 have taught me that what is important is not the things, what is important are not the things that we think we control, but yet we don't. But the small things that we are doing for ourselves and the time and the love that we are sharing with our loved ones. If you have not learned any lesson from my speech today, this is what you have to keep in mind. After COVID-19, nothing should go back to normal because normal wasn't working. Normal wasn't working for this 15-year-old boy who could not see the Himalayan mountains. Normal wasn't working for this 60-year-old lady who was sick from pollution effects. Normal wasn't working for her husband either, who spent all his entire saving trying to save her life. And normal wasn't working for me, who couldn't have time to share friendship with the others and with my family. If things go back to normal, we would have failed to learn the most important lesson. May we all remain safe, rise up, and do better. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Cyril, for that wonderful speech. Now we're going to take a minute. You have an opportunity to write a private chat over to Cyril to give him some feedback, something you loved about his speech or something that didn't quite resonate with you. You have a chance to write that to him. So we'll get a minute from our timer.
Yes, we are good.
Thank you, Madam Timer. Our next speaker, chat window out of the way. Our next speaker is going to be Hassan, and his evaluator is Sridhar. Sridhar, can you tell me a little bit more about what Hassan will be working on today?
Sure. So Hassan is working on path. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Hassan is working on path leadership development, and they'll be working on the level 1 second project, which is evaluation and feedback. And it's his second speech. He has already given a first speech in this project, and he's going to use the feedback from the first project and give the speech. Good luck, Hassan.
All right, today we will be hearing from Hassan. I'm very looking forward to his next speech here. He's given 2 speeches with us here at Tigertales, and I'm looking forward to hearing his next one. So help me welcome Hassan.
The foundation of every state is in the education of its youth. What was the quote I saw the first time I read it on a website? Then I was surprised when I found out that the author of this quote is Diogenes, a Greek thinker who was considered a fool by his community because he used to live in a large ceramic jar. He was also known for carrying a lamp during the day and many other things people find crazy. When reading about Diogenes, I realized that wisdom doesn't always come from people who are self-composed, like Mahatma Gandhi or Nelson Mandela. Mr. Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Some years ago, I was a student in Burkina Faso, where Cyril is from. And I got to know there a student who was also from my hometown. His name is Kader. Kader is talkative, he is zany, he is big and thin, like an asparagus. And he was prone to foolish acts. And he used to make me feel embarrassed many times in public. And he used to tell me, you know, I don't need to drink alcohol because I am naturally drunk. And one of his projects was writing a book about the art of seduction. Nice idea. But the fun fact is, he had never had a girlfriend. So one year, Kader and I volunteered with many other students coming from Niger to organize a cultural event in order to promote our country in Burkina Faso. So we successfully got a sponsorship, and we ran a communication campaign to invite people to this event. Everything was going well, and we were all eager to gather with our guests and show them the best from our country. Then, 3 days before the event, we heard the cancellation of the place that we had booked, and we all became distraught. We were wondering what to tell the sponsors, what to tell people who plan to come to the event, eat meals from our country, listen to music. We spent next 2 days trying to find another venue, but all our attempts were unsuccessful. I even lost sleep. Then one day before the D-Day, we had a last meeting to decide what to do. While Kader and I, we were sitting under a large mango tree, he told me something I will never forget. He said, when you are implementing a project and then you face obstacles, this means that your project will be successful. I listened to him, but I was not really convinced. But that Sunday, we found another place for our event, and it happened to be close to the first one that was canceled. The following day, we had the meeting, the event. It was so successful. We enjoyed ourselves, and everybody was telling us that we should organize another one the following year. Then I told myself that maybe Kader was right. This issue that arose 3 days before the event was just a reminder not to take everything for granted. Since every time I face hurdle on my path, I just tell myself this is a sign that success is on the way. I just have to keep working hard to do it. This idea is so ingrained in my mind that when I'm working on a project and there's any issue, I tell myself, wait a minute. Everything is going smoothly. If there's any problem, that's not a good sign. One of the most challenging experiences I ever had was when I was president of my club, my Toastmasters club back home in Niger. The day of the election, the party president strongly opposed the election of another member as the VP Public Relations, breaking the rules of consensus that we have always had in our club. And all over the tenure, I noticed interferences in the club management. For instance, this same past president would email all the club members to tell them how to organize a meeting, which was not his role. But I took all these as a sign that in the end we will be successful. So I stayed firm, and we've all the member of the e-board, we kept working to achieve the club's goal. And in the end of the year, we got the President's Distinguished Club recognition, which is the highest one for all Toastmasters clubs. This tenure was for me a learning experience, and I think that the obstacles we faced made it more meaningful. I'm really grateful to my friend Kader, who taught me this lesson that helped me deal with hurdles on my path. But I also learned from that experience to listen to people, because I think there's always something interesting to learn from others. Whether it's an old monk living in a remote temple or a wachi guy pretending to be an expert in seduction. It's a tough matter today.
Thank you so much, Hassan, for that wonderful speech. Let's take a minute now to write some feedback for Hassan in his speech. We'll come back after a minute. Thank you, Madam Timer. Madam Timer?
Yeah.
All right. Our last speaker for today will be Matt Mack, and he will be evaluated by Xavier. Xavier, can you tell us about Matt Mack's project for today?
Yes, I can. So tonight, Matt Mack is working on level 3, project 1 of his motivational strategies pathway. And what that is a development of emotional intelligence. So he's been keeping a reflection journal, basically writing down the emotional impacts that he's had on others based on whatever his emotions are. And I'm really excited to see how he takes this journal and crafts it into an excellent speech. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Xavier. So I am very excited to hear what Matt has to say about this particular topic, and I know that all of us here at Tigertales that have seen Matt speak, that some of the most important things to him are the vulnerability and the connection that comes from deep friendship. So I'm excited to hear him speaking about the impacts that he has on others and the friendships that he's built. So help me welcome Matt Mack.
How many of you would love to stand up here and talk about your emotions? Me, neither. Emotions are scary to talk about. I was once giving a speech where I was telling a story that was particularly vulnerable and emotional. And I was really looking forward to this speech, and I put a lot into it. But my evaluator commented that as I was sharing the most emotional, vulnerable parts, I literally backed away from the audience. It was scary. I needed more space. It was too close for comfort. Mr. Toastmaster, Toastmasters, and friends, this project that I'm doing is excellent for me because it has forced me to get more in touch with my emotions and have more courage about them. I was charged to do a journal for 2 weeks in which I assessed my own emotions, thought about my own emotions throughout the day and how they impacted other people. And as I did this, I realized 3 things about myself. One was that I tend to bury my emotions in activities. Second was, it was actually scary, and I was hesitant to share some of those emotions in my journal. And third, it was even more difficult to think about how my emotions impacted someone else. So the first thing I discovered was that I tend to bury my emotions in activity. I am a busy person. Like Cyril was saying, we tend to be busy people, and we need to change this. I need to change this. I've often thought of myself as a human doing more than a human being. And in order for me to actually know what I'm feeling, I've got to slow down. I've got to be able to hear it, listen to myself, and understand what it is that I'm feeling to get in touch with that. I've got a really good friend, Pritham, who you all know, who has influenced me really excellently in this regard. He's shown me what it is to be still and to have stillness. He's taught me about meditation, and he even gave me a book called The Autobiography of a Yogi. And in that book, Yogananda says that the goal of yoga science is to calm the mind, that without distortion, it may hear the infallible counsel of the inner voice. And this is talking about meditating. And Pritham has absolutely influenced me to calm down and listen to myself. And I need to do that to know what I'm feeling in the first place. Second, I noticed as I was journaling that I was hesitant to write certain things that would come into my awareness as an emotion. And I'll tell you too, I was sharing this journal with someone else, and I was worried about what that person would think about the emotions I was going to write. So this helped me recognize for myself that I am very self-critical. I'm critical of what I'm becoming aware of myself about as it's happening. And I'm worried about what someone else thinks too. And this harshness on myself really suppresses my ability to get in touch with what I'm feeling. If I'm judging it before I even recognize it, it's all stuck in there. It's all stuck. It's not going anywhere. And so coming out of this self-critical nature is so important for me and all of us to recognizing and getting more in touch with what we're feeling. The third thing that I recognized was that it was hard for me to figure out how my emotions impacted others. I really had to think about this. You know, I could come up with the feelings, but then I was like, how did this impact so and so who was around me? You know, one night I was really anxious and I didn't sleep well. Then I was really tired the next day, and it absolutely affected my interactions with patients. I wasn't as available for them. I tended to want to just get through each encounter really quickly. But the whole point of me becoming more aware of myself emotionally is to help others. That's the whole point of everything. What's the point of being self-actualized if we don't actually interact or have a relationship or help other people? And there's a book that I love called To Kill a Mockingbird. And in that book, Atticus Finch says we need to step outside of our own skin and into the skin of others so that we can understand their perspective on life. And that is just so important. So this project for me really showed me that, I tend to bury my emotions in a lot of busyness and I need to slow down, that I am very critical of myself and worried about what other people are thinking. And this suppresses everything down for me. And so dealing with that self-critical stuff, which I need help with from others. And third, it's so important to think not only what am I feeling inside of me, but how does that impact everyone around me? Because that is the key. This is the key to relationship and connectedness. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Matt, for that wonderful speech. I definitely do miss the applause before and after every speech. It is definitely something that I will relish more than I ever did before when we get back together again. So let's take a minute now to write up our feedback for Matt's speech. Thank you, Madam Timer. All right. So that concludes our prepared speeches for the day. We're now going to move into our table topics section, and to lead us through that, we have the president of our club. Please help me welcome Chitra.
Hey guys. So this friendships theme of today's week's theme of having friends and showing relationships are important had showed me a really great way this week. I was like, in this time of pandemic, the only way we are getting connected with our friends and families through these video conferences and video call sessions. And I was really grateful for that, but I was thinking how many people still do not have access to this technology to even talk to their friends and family, and still staying socially distant. And I was thinking about that, and I felt that we should be grateful for what we have at the moment now. And with that, I wanted to share the rules for the table topic session. And for that, I would like to welcome the timer Ajita, and who will help us explain the rules.
Hello, everyone. For the table topics, you will have 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, I'll show the green card. At 1.5 minutes, I'll show the yellow card. And at 2 minutes, I'll show the red card. And then you'll have 30 seconds to wrap up. And to be qualified for the prize, you have to be at least 1 minute.
Thank you, Ajita. Tanay, who is a grammarian of the day, will help us reiterate the rules for the table topics as well.
Hello, everyone. So today the word of the day is amicable, which means characterized by friendliness and absence of discord. I'll use it in a sentence like this. Two nations settled their quarrel in an amicable way. And to qualify for the best table topics speaker, you have to use word of the day. So I'll be keeping a watch on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanay. The two rules we have to follow, as Ajita said, to be on time, and as Tanay mentioned, to use the word of the day. And this competition is open to everybody, the members, the guests, whoever participant, and the family members of the members as well. So I would give you a topic where you can speak on, and you have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes. and use the word of the day to qualify for the virtual chocolate from me. Who would like to go first? I see no hands. Hey Ashutosh, yes, come on. Choose a number between 1 to 5.
4.
Okay. If you get to switch lives with a friend, who would it be and why?
Right. I get to switch lives with a friend. I would switch it with a very good friend of mine, Rahul, back in India, for many reasons. First of all, he is a stand-up person to whoever and everybody in his life. It's like you call, he will show, no matter where, no matter what time. We click together, so that is something which will be obviously reverted to me because I am him. And apart from that, he will actually participate in each and every interest. Even if you throw a wild idea at him, he will say yes to it. I say, let's go to Brazil. He will say yes. Let's go climb Kedarnath because I want to go on a trek in the Himalayas. He will do it. So also, inwardly, though we are amicable, there is outward discord every time we talk. So that is something which always keeps the friendship fresh. And that is something which I always look forward to, or a quality I look for in a friend. Thank you.
Then welcome Rahul then, I said. Who would like to go next? Come on, guys. Hi, Deb. Okay. Choose a number between 1 to 4.
2.
2. If you had a chance to go back in time, what would you tell the 5-year-old self about the importance of having friends?
Well, I'm curious at 5 years old how much I could really comprehend about friendship. Knowing my 5-year-old self, or remembering how far back it was, 25 years, that's crazy. I would think about how sensitive I was as a child. I was very nervous and really just sensitive to other people's feelings. I was very sensitive to, like, when I saw, you know, like animals on the side of the road. I was just a very sensitive child. So if I could encourage my 5-year-old self, it would be to hang on to that sensitivity, but don't let it define your choices or your behaviors. And although you may want to remain amicable with everyone, you can't always do that. You can't always keep everyone happy, kind of keep them as your friend if you're compromising who you are. So I'm not sure as much of a 5-year-old could comprehend that, but if I could at least get them started on that language, it might click someday. Madam Tabletop Master.
Thank you, Deb. At 5 years old, I only knew it was not good to eat the mud on the road. Who would like to go next? I should start picking people up, I guess. Nobody? The guest today, anybody wants? Oh, yes. Ava is the best. Yes. Hi, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name.
My name is Lori.
Mhm.
The Zoom thing is because my daughter does the homeschooling.
Okay. Hello, Lori. Pick a number between 1 to 3.
2.
How would you go about befriending an alien if you had to choose to save the world with befriending an alien? How would you go about in befriending an alien, Lori?
Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, also guests. Wow, that is a striking question. How would I go about making friends with an alien? Well, I would do my very best to show that I come in peace. I think that's the place to start is I don't know if that would look like a bowing of submission, or I don't know if a smile would translate. I don't know if a smile would translate. So I think it would be really important to have kind eyes and to definitely go slow. I think pace is extremely important. Of course, that's assuming that pace translates. Oh my gosh, this is a really tricky one. I believe that the slowness and the kind eyes and maybe some sort of offering of something I like, whether it be chocolate or a flower or just something, maybe even a painted rock, just to here. I think that's how I would start. I would start and touch my heart, because where my blood comes from. I don't know why that seems organic to make sense, that some sort of humble gesture, but that is the best that I've got. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, for such an interesting question.
Nice really helps, I guess. Okay. We have one last opportunity to speak up in the impromptu session. Who would like to go? Tubure over here. Yes, Tubure. If you had to choose a number between 1 and 2, which would you choose?
Then I would choose 1.
Okay. What is some peculiar quality you find interesting in someone?
Can you say that again?
What is some peculiar quality you find interesting in someone? Something weird that not many people would like it, but you appreciate it.
Okay. Well, I have a friend who is really weird. By weird, I really mean weird. When people look at him and the way he talks and so on, they say that they cannot really keep up with him because he's always making fun of, people, and it never stops. For example, even if you are his boss, he will go and tell you like a joke that is not really a joke, but it is a truth. And even if like you get angry at him, he will just be smiling and you cannot do anything about it. So I think the exaggeration of this behavior of telling the truth is something that people will feel like it is not good, and it is something that I really like about him. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tabure.
You're welcome.
Mm. So Adita, were all the 4 speakers on time?
Yes.
Tanay the grammarian, did all the speakers use the word of the day?
The people that used the word of the day were Ashutosh and Deb.
Oh, okay. So Ashutosh and Deb qualify for being on time and using the word of the day. Please vote for the speaker you like the best and send out it to me, and then we can choose a winner from that then, like with the number of votes. And with that, I would like to hand over it to the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, for those inventive questions. The next part of our meeting is our evaluation section, where we'll get a chance to repay our speakers for the preparation and practice they put into their prepared speeches. And we will do that by giving them immediate feedback on what they did well, things that they can improve on, and how they can take their speech to the next level, the next chance they get. So we will be led through that section by Deb. Please help me welcome Deb, who's downstairs.
Thank you, Toastmaster, who's upstairs. Just like any good game, there's rules, and we always need feedback to improve. So to get us started, I'd like the functionaries to go through the rules of evaluation. I guess we'll start with our timer. Sorry.
Okay.
Apologies.
So for the evaluation, I will show a green card you will have 2 to 3 minutes. I'll show a green card at 2 minutes, a yellow card at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and a red card at 3 minutes, where you will have 30 seconds to wrap up.
Thank you so much. And to get us started, Grant is going to be evaluating Shreel. And I asked Grant what made a great quality for a friendship, and for him, it was trustworthiness. So I can imagine that Grant is an incredibly trustworthy friend who is ready to share his honest and open feedback to improve Shreel's speaking. Please take it away, Grant.
Thank you, Deb. I'd like to begin by saying excellent speech, Cyril. It was amazing in so many ways, starting with the fact that you used statistics to tell a story. It was a researcher topic speech, but we weren't really expecting a story to be involved in it as well, and you did it really great. You began with definitions about what a lesson is, and in my mind, I was kind of thinking, where is this going? Where is he leading us? Then you used news stories and statistics to tell us about that child, woman, and husband in India, and got us to sympathize with their circumstance. You started talking about the coronavirus, and again, it was kind of a jump there, you know. Obviously, the pollution levels in India in certain cities have been decreasing, so you could see the Himalayas. But then we started talking about the coronavirus here, and even in your situation. And I asked myself again, where is this going? And you managed to tie in your own story to all of that. And in my mind, up until the kind of ending parts of your speech, I was kind of wondering, where is he taking us? And then, of course, you managed to tie in all of those in your conclusion. You made us remember, oh yeah, that's why he brought up those people in India. That's why he brought up his own situation and what he's doing in this time. Because as much stuff has changed due to this virus, we need to learn our lessons from it and normal wasn't working. So we need to go into the future learning lessons and not just going back to normal. So improvements. Honestly, I'm not saying that the kind of disjoint topics needs to be improved on, because the conclusion made it work really well. But let's go back to the intro. When you started going over definitions, I was kind of thinking, oh wow, I'm back in English class. And so I was wondering, could you make that introduction a little bit more popping, a little bit more attention grabbing? And I thought of, what if he incorporated more research? You know, he threw in some statistics in the beginning. Could he do more with those statistics, or even give us more information to make it attention grabbing? Like by saying, or by researching exactly how many people are affected by this virus right now, how many people are in lockdown, you know, billions maybe? That's attention grabbing. And then of course you can tie that all in the conclusion as well, especially when you transition to India and then your own story being in lockdown. So again, you showed great confidence. Well, that's a little bit additional. You showed great confidence and great hand gestures, but in conclusion, you showed a great way to tell a story with a lesson using statistics. But if only a little critique, your introduction could have been a little bit more attention grabbing. Thank you, Cyril. It was great listening to your speech.
Thank you, Grant, for your evaluation. Next up is Sridhar evaluating Hussein. And for Sridhar, his top qualities for a good friendship was compatibility and frankness, which is so fitting right now with giving an evaluation. Thank you, Sridhar. We look forward to hearing your evaluation.
Thank you, Madam Chief Evaluator. Good evening, everyone. And Hassan. Hassan, your the structure of the speech was very good. You started with a good opening and a body and a conclusion which summarized your overall speech. And you started with a good opening, which you said wisdom that comes from people who are calm and composed. That was attention grabbing. And then your body language throughout the speech was pretty good. For instance, when you were mentioning about the embarrassment, you put your hand to show, so that was pretty good. And also you mentioned about something like never had a girlfriend, and that was pretty good too. And your eye contact throughout the speech was good. And what stood out in your speech today was your body language throughout the speech. Your body language was very good. And I like what you mentioned, that throughout the speech you kept this idea of obstacles, and how obstacles, when you have obstacles, you're sure that you'll be successful, and you kept that idea throughout your speech. And something about the improvement, I think you could add more vocal variety. For instance, when for one of the instances I can give you is that you mentioned in your speech about you and your friend sitting on a tree and having a discussion. And when you mentioned that, it was pretty much flat. There was no, so maybe you can, I feel that there was vocal variety was missing. And that's all, I think. And to summarize, it's like you had a very good body language throughout your speech, and an improvement is to add some more vocal variety. Thank you.
Thank you, Sridhar. Next up, we have Xavier, who's going to be evaluating Matt. For Xavier, if you just make him a good cup of coffee, he's your buddy forever. So if you're looking to win his heart over, make him a great cup of coffee. Xavier, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for that great cup of coffee. Matt, let's get into things that I've seen you do for you tonight. So the first thing that matter what the speech is, and it works out very well for you. It's easy to understand, and I like it. The thing you do very well is you bring in credibility to your speech. And this way, tonight, you did it in two ways. One, you mentioned somebody that's near and dear to us one way near and dear to us in Freedom, that everyone knows is a great person, inspiring, and someone worth following. And you bringing him up as someone that's teaching you something is huge. The other way was mentioning Atticus Finch. So two of my favorite people are Freedom and Atticus Finch for sure. And just quoting him as far as what empathy is, living in somebody else's skin. But the biggest way that tonight I could see you improving this speech, if you were to take it on to the next level, is bringing us even more into your own skin. And the biggest point where I feel you could have done that is in your second point, where you're sitting there writing your journal. So I have my journal here, and you're going to write down what your emotions are. I want to be in that moment with you where your pencil's just stuck and you're having that brain disconnect of, okay, how do I really read what my heart was doing with my emotions today? How is it affecting others? How am I going to share this? Like, if you can bring us to that moment of confusion for you, I think it just adds to your speech in a way that would be so effective. But overall, you've got calling cards now, which is spectacular. There's things that you're improving, and I think this pathway is just perfect for that. And this journal is only going to help you bring even more of that into your speech. For not being that technical, you had very solid body language. I could see lots of hand gestures, you stepping back. All of this was very strong, and I'm very excited to see where this project takes you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Xavier. So this is a time in the meeting where I get to share a little bit of my feedback about how I thought the meeting went. Some things were doing really well, and I think some areas of improvement. To start out, I have to say from the first week we did virtual meetings to now feels like night and day. I think that had more to do with just kind of getting used to the platform, using it, just getting comfortable with the technology. So it feels more smooth. It feels like people are signing on sooner. So that's really wonderful. I also really appreciated that people weren't flipping their backgrounds throughout the meeting. You know, like that can be a little distracting. So I appreciate that this meeting we didn't do that. The only area perhaps of improvement that I could give that could perhaps make the next meeting a little better is for the timer, instead of having the count up, just maybe trying to find things that are the color of the cards to use, because I think that's what we're most used to. You know, I would think as a speaker, the count up, I'm not sure what to call it, can be just a little distracting and put you a little on edge when you're trying to wrap up your speech, whereas the cards, they let you know where you're at, like if you're going too far, you know, like you got the red card, you know, but you're not seeing that count up happening. So those are my only pieces of really feedback for improvement, but overall, excellent evaluations. It's fantastic to see that we can still continue to meet using this technology. It's fantastic to see all your beautiful faces. I miss seeing you in person. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your stories, your evaluations, your table topics. I'm going to go ahead and return control over to the man upstairs, the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Just think about the meeting that we've gotten a chance to experience tonight. We've had wonderful speeches giving us lessons from this virus. Speeches telling us stories about friendships and lessons that we can learn from adversity. And we've had a speech about vulnerability and how our emotions impact other people and a call to empathy. And stories from all over the world, perspectives from all over the world. This is what Tigertales is meant to be. And it's so wonderful that we can have it even in this crazy time. So I am so grateful for our meeting, and our table topics master is going to send me very soon the results of our table topics presentation and to see who gave the best table topics presentation today. And we are going to unmute and give the drum roll once I have the results. I don't have them yet. All right, I've got the results. So get unmuted, ready to drum roll. The winner is Ashutosh.
Yay!
Yay!
Woo! Sam, keep my
All right. Well done, Ashutosh. I'm now going to turn the meeting over to our president, Chitra, who's going to get some guest comments and take us out. So go ahead, Chitra.
Thank you, Alex. It was a good, wonderful meeting, like how people showing their vulnerability across in this, and it moved me a bit, I guess. I'm happy that many of your family and friends have joined the meeting, and I would like to hear their feedback and how the meeting went and what they liked and what they thought we could improve on. And Laurie, can you tell us your experience on today's meeting?
Yes, of course. Thank you. Oh, you guys are such a loving bunch. It was nice to stop by. I had intended to catch one of the meetings. My meeting just ended, and I had intended to switch over as quickly as I could to catch the tail end of the speeches. I really wanted to hear the speeches. So I'm just slightly disappointed I missed out, but to do the table topics was fun. Again, you guys are a very generous and kind bunch, and I wouldn't mind stopping by again. Thank you for having me.
That's great. We would love to have you again and see you in the further meetings as well. Hello, Sam. Hi. Can you
How are you?
And let us know I'm fine, thank you. Introduce yourself and let us know what did you like about our club meeting.
I've always enjoyed visiting Tigertales. I try to make it in periodically once a year, at least at a minimum. And I'm always impressed with the speakers as well as the evaluations. It's, very mature evaluations. If you ask for something like an improvement, possibly. I've been helping out as a tech team for the division contest, and they'll actually pin the active videos on the main screen, but then the only ones that'll be active will be the person speaking and the timer. So when the person's speaking, they can actually see the timer show up their cards. That might be one thing that might make it a little bit easier. But when you use an iPhone, it's a little more difficult. So I'm not sure how to get past that part of it.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, we have been trying to get our technical issues solved in this whole online platform thing, and we're looking always for suggestions. Thank you for that. Hello, Azim. Hi. Hi. Hi.
Hi. I'm sorry. That's my 3-year-old. He's been making noise. That's why I just.
It's good to hear all the kids around always.
I love the meeting today. Thank you guys for inviting me. I would like to thank Matt for sending me the invite to join. And I really enjoyed all the speakers, and their speeches were amazing. I wish I could contribute in the table topics, but because of my son, I couldn't, so I had to just stay quiet. Alex talked very briefly about the history of the ToastMasters, and it just reminded me how old I have become. I remember in 2014 when I joined the the Toastmasters Club back in 2014 when I was in RIT. So yeah, it's I've always been part of this family. I know most of the people who are on our call here, and there are some new beautiful faces. It's nice to meet you guys, and the meeting, I really enjoyed it. I will continue to join if I can. Thank you guys for inviting me.
Thank you, Azim.
Yep, we're getting old, Azim.
Hi, Rachel. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for opening this to Zoom. I had intended to visit this club a couple times. I don't currently live in Rochester. I'm a native Rochesterian. You can actually ask Kelly. She and I go way back to high school.
Oh.
And Alex, I know Alex and Deb because I taught Alex in high school. So the club I belong to is called the Florida International Talkers, and we're actually affiliated with Florida Institute of Technology, so kind of a sister school to RIT. I appreciate the speakers today. It was really nice to hear a lot of perspectives from around the world. I appreciate seeing so many people from different places around the world as well, and I haven't visited all of those places yet, but it's on my bucket list. So hopefully I'll be able to come back and visit you virtually, or whenever we're done with this lockdown, I'll be in Rochester again.
Thank you, Rachel. It's good to have many guests, family, friends around over here to have their suggestions in this. Please feel free to invite your friends and family for this virtual meetings from anywhere across the world. To join the club, you can contact me on how to do that, as the VP membership is not here today. For any roles on speaking roles for the next week or the upcoming weeks, or any other roles, you can contact the VP Education, Sarah Francis, over there. And if you guys want to talk more on anything else, we are here hanging a bit around. And other than that, I would like to adjourn the meeting.